Starting from the OnePlus 11 up to last year's OnePlus 13, the performance of these three generations basically belonged to the flagship category. Their overall positioning was above the Find X standard version and sometimes even more comprehensive than the Find X Pro version. For example, last year's Find X8 Pro versus the OnePlus 13. The OnePlus 15, however, has seen a regression in quite a few configuration specifications compared to the previous generation. The 2K screen, which had been consistent for several generations, has become 1.5K. The motor has changed from the 0916T to the 0816. The main camera specifications have also become weaker. However, the refresh rate has been raised to the current highest, 165 Hz. At the same time, the battery capacity design has also seen some significant changes. So how does it actually perform? Design-wise, the OnePlus 15 gets a thumbs up this year. The asymmetric circular camera module on the top left, which everyone has been roasting since the OnePlus 11, has finally been canceled. Speaking with high EQ, this time they really listened to advice. Speaking with low EQ, it took them a whole 3 years to change it. Of course, we've already seen a similar deco design on the previous OnePlus 13T. When you put these two phones together, they look completely like the same series. Whether you rename the 13T to Mini 15 or rename the 15 to 13T Pro Max, there's no issue. Compared to the Find X9 Pro, which also has a top left matrix deco this year, the OnePlus 15 looks more harmonious overall. There are no asymmetric lens openings. The corner radius also fits the body design better. And just like the competition, this year the OnePlus 15 has also fully embraced the flat screen. Compared to that wide version of the ISO depth quad curve screen on the OnePlus 13, it is much more refreshing. Additionally, these four equally narrow bezels on the front are unique among the sub-flagships released so far. We bought this Sand Dune colorway. The back cover is made of a wave fiber material, and the touch feel is relatively fine. However, although it is the same metal middle frame, the processing is a bit different compared to the glass version. Touching this Sand Dune version feels cooler than regular AG glass or vegan leather. The tactile sensation feels slightly like a soft touch coating, but the shimmering texture brought by this nanometal process, if you look closely, gives the visual impression of water stain residue. There's always an impulse to grab a cloth and wipe it off. Since the OnePlus 11, the OnePlus numeric flagship series screens have all been 2K resolution, and every time a new device is in the warm-up release phase, they would throw a screen launch event for you. Just when everyone thought this year would feature the third generation 2K Oriental screen, the OnePlus 15 actually retreated to 1.5K resolution and didn't use a new arrangement to achieve a 2K-like diamond pixel density like the K90 Pro Max. Instead, the focus of the marketing shifted to 165 Hz. Since the launch event stated that this time the 165 Hz high refresh rate not only offers improvements in gaming, but brings an unprecedented boost in fluency for daily use. So first, let's take a look at the OnePlus 15's high refresh rate strategy. In the default smart refresh rate mode, out of 30 commonly used apps, 3 are locked at 60 Hz, 21 are locked at 90 Hz, and only 6 are locked at 120 Hz. After manually switching to the high refresh rate mode, except for 2 short video apps, the rest are all at 120 Hz. For daily information feed apps, if you want to enable 165 Hz, you have to go into the developer options to turn it on. But what's relatively abstract is that after turning it on, there's a risk warning. It warns you that there might be lagging, screen flickering, high power consumption, and overheating risks. Normally speaking, if 165 Hz is a main selling point, shouldn't it be placed in the display settings with a highlighted prompt that saying that opening it will be smoother and silkier? Currently, there are still only 4 apps adapted for 165 Hz: QQ, WeChat, Weibo, and Xiaohongshu. Speaking from my personal usage experience, in vertical screen information feed applications like Weibo and Xiaohongshu, going from 120 Hz to 165 Hz, you can feel the improvement in fluency and picture quality, especially on the 165 Hz information feed page. After scrolling for 10 minutes and switching back to 120 Hz, to use an analogy, it feels a bit like switching from 120 Hz to 90 Hz. But the problem lies in the fact that currently only 4 apps can be enabled. One moment it's 165 Hz, the next 120. Switching between different apps actually makes it easy to cause a sense of discontinuation due to the different refresh rates. And it also conflicts with some system function features, like for example within these 4 apps, even if you are on a static page and not moving, it won't automatically drop to 1 Hz to save power. The entire process remains at 165 Hz, and it can also not coexist with the full brightness low flicker mode. It's a case of being stuck in a dilemma. In terms of gaming, Honor of Kings supports 144 frame mode after the update. PUBG, like most 144 Hz screen models, maxes out at smooth plus 144 frames. As for the MiHoYo Trio, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zero, none are supported. After all, considering the performance output of phones at this point, running these mobile games at 165 frames is still too futuristic. But games like League of Legends Wild Rift, Triangle Strategy, Metal Slug Awakening, and QQ Speed can all reach 165 frames. For specific games that support 165 frames, everyone can refer to the list provided on the official website. Regarding other screen parameters, OnePlus's performance performance this time isn't bad. The peak excitation brightness can reach around to 170 nits, but this brightness is basically only achievable within apps on the Pixel whitelist. Testing with third-party apps, the excitation brightness gets limited to around 1000 nits. The excitation brightness threshold setting basically follows the Oppo OnePlus style, which is relatively conservative. Only under illumination of 60,000 lux will it exceed 1000 nits. There is indeed a significant improvement in screen power consumption this time. At 300 nits and 500 nits, it performs well among the 1.5K screens. Last year's OnePlus 13 was considered to have a 6000 mAh battery, but because the overall power consumption of that 2K screen was high, the battery life performance was below expectation. The downgrade to 1.5K this time is estimated to be largely due to screen power consumption considerations.
The Honor of King's frame rate is a straight line. The whole device power consumption is around 2.7 watts. In Genshin Impact, under 881p resolution, the average is 60.7 frames, and the whole device power consumption is 4.2 watts. My suggestion is that the Genshin mobile client can completely open up the 1080p tier now. At least the 8 series flagship processors can all easily handle it. In Honkai Star Rail's Golden Hour, at the 750p tier, the average is 59.3 frames, and the whole device power consumption is 5.6 watts. The highest body temperature is around 43.6 degrees. In terms of scheduling, it's the same as most Snapdragon 8 Elite processor models. 2 super large cores carry the main load, and 6 performance cores occasionally boost frequency to assist. The average frequency is 1.85 plus 0.8 GHz. Of course, in a horizontal comparison, it doesn't actually pull much of a gap compared to other detailed flagships with the Snapdragon 8 Elite.
For battery capacity, the OnePlus 15 is 7300 mAh. In our 400 nits dual SIM 5G endurance model, it lasted for 8 hours and 11 minutes. It's not as good as the K90 Pro Max, which has a larger battery. The advantage is the dual cell solution offers faster charging speeds. With 120 watt wire charging, the charge after 15 minutes is 14.08 watt hours. The full charge time is 43 minutes. The short-term recovery speed and full charge time are definitely quite a bit faster than the single-cell K90 Pro Max. In my view, it's not a big problem that the OnePlus 15 canceled the Hasselblad co-branding. After all, from the 11 to the 13, the camera wasn't tuned well. It was really just a filter co-branding. The cost of tuning was actually just driving up the branding cost. But the awkward part lies in the fact that the OnePlus 15's camera housing hardware specifications have also shrunk relative to last year's OnePlus 13. The ultra-wide-angle changed from the JN5 to the OV50. The main shooter was downgraded from the LYT808 to the IMX921. The telephoto from the 73mm periscope LYT600 to the 85mm G5. Just like the Find X9 Pro, in situations with good daylight, the OnePlus 15's native focal length enables high pixel mode. If you zoom in to count hairs, it will be better than the OnePlus 13's 6 zoom. But once the light gets slightly darker, the OnePlus 15 with its smaller main sensor begins to show weakness. If you zoom in to look, the noise control and sharpness will be worse compared to the 13. The automatic night scene algorithm has basically made no progress relative to the previous generation. When facing some highlight light boxes, the OnePlus 15 is the same as the 13. The highlight light box's parts are prone to some overexposure. This is actually a bit of a dilemma. Since you want to use a 165Hz high refresh rate screen and focus on the gaming experience, then don't try to make a comprehensive all-arounder flagship. Okay, so the above is the review content for the OnePlus 15. If you felt the video was made well, I hope you guys can click like and subscribe. This is our biggest motivation for updating videos. See you in the next video. Bye bye.